Monsters Ball was released in 2001. This is directed by Marc Forster. It's written by Milo, Addica and Will Rokos, and we have a cast including Billy Bob Thornton, Halle Berry, Heath Ledger, Peter Boyle. It's because of Peter Boyle that I became aware of this, and it sounded really interesting. And then I watched it, and I found it, for the most part, apart from a few scenes, to be tremendously boring. But I will say it has 7 out of 10 on IMDb, across 97,000 reviews and ratings. And it has a Metascore of 69, which is pretty impressive. So I'm going to explain why I didn't like it. And I will praise various aspects, of course, as well, because it's not terrible. But I'd say if you're curious, just check it out, as it seems to be well received. It seems to be something a lot of people like. So I didn't like it, but it might appeal to other people. The concept is what drew me to this. Well, it was Peter Boyle that drew me to it, but then I read it and wanted to prioritise watching it because it's about a prison guard who oversees death row inmates. He oversees the killing of the inmates on death row, and he happens to develop a relationship with the wife of somebody who was killed on death row. That is going to be such a complicated situation. I was really keen to see how it would be presented, and I'm not saying it was presented terribly, but I definitely didn't think it was very interesting. But I also didn't like any of the characters. Well, any of the adult characters. There was I won't go into too much detail, but Leticia has a son, and the character was certainly quite interesting, but the other characters I didn't really care for, so I didn't really enjoy following the journey from their perspectives. And then the narrative itself, the prison scenes I liked, and we do have a decent amount of prison scenes, so they worked really well. But everything else, everything away from the prison, I just found to be so boring, not interesting at all, and not even that thought-provoking. And a topic like this is so fascinating on paper that I should have been thinking a lot and feeling a lot and maybe questioning how I feel about it as well, as I don't think it's going to be a black and white response. And I just felt very little except boredom. Again, there were a couple of scenes here and there, but for the most part, I don't think the narrative worked very well at all. I don't think it was presented in a way that was fascinating or thought-provoking. Had the characters been a little bit more likeable, maybe that would have been a different case. That being said, there were some really powerful scenes. The good scenes are very, very, very well done. The rest of it, not so much, in my opinion. The performances, though, are brilliant. I might not like the characters, but the performances are absolutely fantastic. It is worth pointing out that Halle Berry won Best Actress for her performance, which, yep, I can see that being the case, and I think everybody did a really great job. So the narrative is not what I expected. I don't think the story is told in a way that's engaging or thought-provoking, for the most part. But it seems to be well received, so take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt, and ultimately, if you're curious, check it out, come to your own conclusion. Hopefully you'll enjoy it more than I did. Maybe my hopes were too high. Maybe I was expecting something more. Going into it, I didn't know that it was an Oscar winner. It was an Oscar nominee as well for Best Writing for a Screenplay, which I don't think it works very well. I don't think it's a good story. I think it had potential, and maybe I expected too much. But either way, I don't think Monsters Ball works very well. But it seems to be well received, so maybe ignore everything I'm saying. And I guess in that regard, I recommend it just so you can come to your own conclusion.